Hey, what's going on, you guys? In this video, I'm covering some of my favorite chord progressions used in R&B hits that you can hear right now on the radio today. Everything is in C major, and we'll break down the progressions in a simple first version, step-by-step way. You can also pick up on this style of music using Midi files and audio samples, a lot of which is completely for free on my website, so be sure to check the link in the description below if you haven't been there already. And now let's get into it. Okay, so this first chord progression is called a 4-5-1, and you're going to hear me use numbers because it's part of the number system, which describes chord progressions regardless of the key that we're in. In this case, C major, or the relative minor actually, which is A minor. It's a minor key chord progression, so in that case, A is 1, 2, 3, 4, which gives us a D minor is the 4 chord. We're going to have an E major as our 5 chord, and then we'll resolve with A minor as our 1 chord. So D minor, E major, A minor. So that's our 4-5-1. Now, it might not sound too jazzy or R&B sounding just yet, but let's take it one step further. You'll notice that I'm playing root-based triads, which means I have to jump from E major down to A minor. So in a previous video, you saw me kind of give an example about how to play 7th chords and use voice leading with a 2-5-1, which is a very famous chord progression used in jazz and R&B. And we use voice leading to lead us where we want to go. So instead of feeling like we have to jump down, let's just take a note, in this case, the B up top in that E major chord, and bring it down an octave. So when we go from D minor to E major, we're going like this. And it leads us downwards into that resolution to the 1 chord, in this case A minor. So D minor, E major, A minor. And of course, feel free to save this video and come back to it later and practice these examples as you go along. So what I like to do now is take it one step further, adding in that extra interval, that extension of the chord. So each chord is going to get an extension, such as the 7th. The 7th is very common in R&B music, but here I'm going to add it down below on my D minor 7 chord. And of course, we're going down to our E major voicing like this. I'm going to add the dominant 7th in the middle. And of course, that resolves nicely into A minor 7 down below the 1 chord. So now we have D minor 7, E dominant 7, A minor 7. It's still a 4-5-1 progression. So let's take one final step to make this even more interesting. And the secret is in the 5 chord. So notice in our progression, D minor 7 is the 4 chord, E dominant 7 is the 5 chord, and A minor 7 is the 1 chord, right? The 5 chord is usually a dominant chord in this example I'm showing you, and the dominant chord in chord progressions is very important for a lot of reasons. In R&B, it's a chord that we can do special things with. We can add tension and variation and different kinds of interesting changes to that chord to make the chord progression more interesting. So if I have a D minor 7 going to E dominant 7, maybe I'm going to take one of the notes from this chord and alter it in a way that makes it more interesting. The way I like to do it is to search for the 5th of that dominant chord. So recall, if you take an E dominant 7 chord in root position, the first note, the major 3rd, the perfect 5th, the dominant 7th. B is your perfect 5th, right? So when we go back to our original voicing, B is down below. Let's raise it. And this is oftentimes called a raised 5th or sharp 5, or an E dominant 7 sharp 5, which you can see in the chord diagram below. And people oftentimes refer to this as an altered dominant chord because I've altered something inside of it. So now I have D minor 7, E altered dominant, A minor 7. So there's our 4-5-1 progression. It's amazing how often the same chord progressions or the same types of chords are used in many of the songs that you'll find on popular Spotify playlists today. You're just as likely to see producers mix and match those three chords together in different combinations or sequences. For instance, you could actually just go 5-1-4. And what would that look like? Again, start with a basic triad like E major, resolving to A minor and jumping up to D minor. So that would be 5-1-4. And you just follow the same ideas we've gone along with. In this case, what I might end up doing is taking, if I'm starting with E major, going upwards to my A minor chord, which is this right here. There's my A minor, and I can resolve really nicely to D minor, and that would give me a 5-1-4. 5-1-4. So now let's take this and make it a dominant chord. I bring my 7th below. Then we're going to go to A minor 7, finally resolving to D minor 7, just like that. E dominant 7, A minor 7, D minor 7. And the same idea applies to that dominant chord. In this case, we're starting on an E dominant 7, but I can still take that 5th, in this case it's up top, and raise it to the C. I have the same chord, just a different voicing, where that raised 5th is no longer on the bottom, it's on the top. And what's nice about this is I can hold, I'm on my left hand, my thumb on that C, and that transfers me right to that A minor 7 voicing. So you'll start to see these things are actually really connected. It's kind of cool. And what's awesome is when I do this, the C stays throughout that chord progression. And you'll find this all the time in modern R&B hits today, them using a simple 2-3-4 chord progression and using altered dominants and just good voice leading to keep those chords paired together, which leaves a lot of room in your music productions for counter melodies and vocalists and instrumentation. So I hope this tutorial was useful to you. Hope you learned something from it on the keyboards. Take your time with it. Feel free to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. And save this video. Leave a comment below if you want me to cover something else about this style of keyboard playing, this approach that I'm using. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you later. Take care.